And so what happens is now I'll go into another device and make it public. I have forgotten to do that before. And it was limited to who can see it, and I was so disappointed with myself. Edit privacy, make it public. Now everyone can see it. Happens is now I'll go in.
There we go.
There you go. And I'll turn down my volume on my phone, and now people will start jumping in. Happy Friday to you.
Yeah, happy Friday to you too. What are you drinking there?
Weller bourbon.
Okay.
I think people probably think I drink a lot more than I do, but I do that whenever I do these lives because I do stress about them. I stress about, when there's so many people waiting to get on, the technology thing scares me. And I'm a little better now, and this StreamYard thing is pretty good. I got it from Malcolm Russell. I called because I saw he used it, and his feeds always look good. So thank you, Malcolm. And so far it's been pretty good with me. If I lose you for some reason, you could just go out, and then I think I could probably bring you back in. It's only happened once, knock on wood, but there's already a lot of people jumping on. See what you have to say. We'll give them a couple of minutes. Where are you at exactly out there in California, Mog? You're in California, right?
Yep, I'm in San Pablo, which is just a little north of San Francisco.
Oh, I love San Francisco. I love it. I'm a big fat ass. I love to eat. That's why I love San Francisco.
Oh yeah. I have a love-hate relationship with San Francisco. I grew up there, loved it. And it's changed so much. And now just going there, it's like it takes me like 3 times as long to get in and get out. And so sometimes I hate it, but it's a great city.
Yeah, it is. Can you see people? We got Evelyn. Hey, Evelyn, Maggie, Graham, Robin, Teresa starting to comment on things. I know you can do something to where you can see the comments because the last one I did, people were seeing the comments. And I think if you go into another device, you could probably share it to your page if you wanted to. Hello, Sarah. Yeah.
Let me figure out how to share to my page. Let's see.
Oh, Nathan, Judy, Suzanne, Sarah, Andre.
Hopefully that worked out.
Baron, Edna. All right, a lot of people jumping on here. But we'll get started here in a second.
All right.
So, like we were talking before we came on live, I appreciate you very much doing this. I mean, you were the first one I talked to, and it's funny. I was going out to the farm where I go like for therapy to sit there and watch deer at night, and you called. I normally don't answer the phone, and I saw, I think it was a California number. I said, oh, geez, this might be her. So I'm glad I did. But this is about you. This is your platform. This isn't about me. Okay. I'll talk to you about whatever you want. I think the only thing we probably should stay away from is politics, because nothing good comes of it. And I think with so much of what's going on today is if we could eliminate the political talk and the media, everything would be in a much better position now. Mahogany, I really believe that. And this just came to me one day. I came out of the gym, my head was clear, and that's where I usually think. And I think I was looking at a conversation that Wallace Payne was having on his page, and Wallace is going to be on Sunday, and I respect Wallace a great deal as a trainer, as a man. And it was getting so ugly, and I don't want to participate in that. I don't want to do it anymore. I used to do the politics stuff online, and nothing ever comes good out of it. So I try to stay away. And it just made sense to me. Like, why not give people some kind of, I don't know why I have any kind of a platform, but somehow I do. And I know because when I say something wrong, I know about it. Believe me, you know what I mean? And I'm at a point, Mahogany, where, as trainers, as you know, we start off when we're young and we try so hard to build the business and build ourselves up and get recognized and, be something in the dog world. But then when you have a little bit of following, or the business is good, you kind of miss the process. And for me, there's a big void there. I don't want more business. I don't want to try to grow anything. I don't want to try to sell anything. And the only time I get pleasure anymore in this dog stuff is when I could do something for somebody else. That still makes me feel good. So a big part of this is very selfish. There's no doubt about it, because I like doing things for other people if I can. And I try to, and I still make plenty of mistakes. But I didn't know how this was going to go down. But from all the responses I got between people nominating trainers, people of color, and people of color trainers messaging me, I want to do it, it's like, wow, okay, this is good. This is good, because there's a lot of phenomenal people out there that no one knows that I think should have a voice, and that's it. And so I talked to you a little earlier that I've definitely gotten some hate from this. Not a ton, 99% extremely positive, but the hate I did get is almost all been political, almost all of it.
Yeah.
Today, I got a few messages that had more of a race tone to it, just kind of disappointed in me. It wasn't a racial thing. They weren't saying racist stuff, but they thought it was wrong for me to give just a specific group a platform.
Sure.
And all I said to him was, then you don't understand what I'm trying to do. That's it. And I said, maybe if you watch, you'll see if there's something different to it. You know what I mean? And so no pressure on you being the first one. You could take this wherever you want to go tonight. I just want people to know not only who you are, because a lot of people do. You're very well respected in the training world. But I want you to give people an idea of what it's like to be a female in the training world, but not only a female of color, a Black woman. Okay. Maybe there is no difference. I don't know, but I want it to come from you. So what do you say about that?
Cool. That's great. First and foremost, Larry, like I've thanked you 1,000 times, and I want to thank you again in front of everybody here. I definitely appreciate the opportunity. I think this is wonderful, really, really wonderful what you're doing. It's been 2020 has been crazy. And that's as far as I'm going to go into it probably. But I just, I think collaborations and working together and just, being respectful and on the same level with each other, it's a lot more of what we need. Yeah. And I think, as dog trainers, I feel all the time like we spend a lot of time healing dogs. And, sometimes when it comes to the ways that we interact with each other, we can spend a lot of time hurting each other. So I think if we, sort of shift gears and try to work to heal each other, we can actually be very, very effective because we practice it all the time, every single day as dog trainers. So I will let everybody know, and you too, Larry, that I've been so nervous all day. Having a platform to just share anything is it's a lot of pressure, and I will tell you why it's a lot of pressure for me. Is because, since I've been a little bit more vocal about race issues on Facebook, a lot of Black trainers in particular have reached out to me. And I liked my page for, mostly like any dog owners. I just like to share pictures and stupid shit my dogs do. That's pretty much what I like to do on Facebook. But I have been a little bit more vocal in these past few months, especially. And I've, pretty much anytime I say something, I'll say, this is the last time I'm going to say it. And I've had people reach out to me and say, please don't let this be the last time that you say it. Please keep speaking up. Please keep talking. And so what I wanted to do, if it's okay with you tonight, is, I already saw a couple of questions come up just about my training experience and stuff like that. But I do want to spend some time, if people have questions, because you created a really amazing space for people to connect. And one of the things that I really appreciate about your post is, and about, starting this dialogue series, I'll call it, is that the people that are, very open and receptive, these are the people that want to unite. And these are the people that want to just, they're sick of the political talk. They're sick of, the divides. And I find a lot of value in that. And I love that we have so many people on that I feel like are kind of coming from the same place. Like, we all want to move in the same direction. And there's so much, fear and pain, and there's so much suffering right now between people, that to see this many people come together, all just wanting to move forward, like,
Sure.
it's really beautiful.
Yeah.
So so I also want to thank everybody that's on tonight. Like,
sure.
thank you for spending the time to be with us.
Yeah, the response has been overwhelming. Like I said, very little negative response. Some of the negativity has been brutally ugly. Like, I told my wife some of it yesterday, what someone sent me, and I was like, holy wow. Like, I was really disappointed in people, and it was I don't engage anymore. I just block and delete, because those people, there's no matter what you do or say, they want to be in a certain place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And especially when it's all about politics, you can't win. You know what I mean? But I kind of just want people to see things from your eyes. That's it. People ask me, why am I doing this? And I told you earlier, it kind of just, I was watching a conversation on Facebook, and I think it was on Wallace Payne's page. It was someone I respect a great deal, but he's been very vocal about things, and it was getting so ugly. And it just, it just dawned on me, you need to just speak to these people and let them speak out loud, and give all these individual trainers something to talk about. It doesn't have to be about, it could be about anything.
Yeah.
And honestly, I just felt it was the right thing to do. If you have some kind of a platform, and somehow I do, I don't know how, I don't know why.
Yeah.
What good is it if I can't do something for somebody else? It's useless. Because to be honest with you, Mahogany, I am so fried and tired of the same shit in the dog world. It's all the same stuff. How many videos about a head up heel can we do, or an aggressive dog, or how to use an e-collar? I mean, it's exhausting. It's the same stuff. So maybe if we could have something of a little more substance, people can turn off the news, and I think things will get a lot better. Because what I was telling someone the other day is, I had seen something on the news. I don't remember what it was, but it fired me up. It brought out a lot of hate. It was just ugliness, And then I went to this place, this restaurant, to pick up, it was like a bar/restaurant, to pick up food for my kids for lunch. This is right in the middle of the worst part of the COVID thing. And I walk into this place to pick up food. I'm in the bar, and I'm looking around, and it's split about 50% white people, 50% black people. And everyone's just carrying on, and the tables are mixed, and everyone's talking and having a good time. And I'm thinking, this is actually the real world. There's bad things going on, but it's such a small percentage. And that's what the media wants you to see. They don't want you to see the people getting along without any issues, and it really hit me like a ton of bricks at that moment. You know what I mean? And when I was talking to Martin Wright the other day, and he's going to be on next week. Great guy. I met him at the IACP conference for the first time last year. Very talented trainer, super nice guy, but the one thing I remember, I asked him, I said, Martin, what a lot of people don't think about, we take for granted. And listen, I'm not this touchy-feely guy. If I think something, I say it, and I'm going to piss off both sides. I always do, but I'm honest. I'm not trying to please one side or another. You know what I mean? My intentions are good. My words aren't always. And I said to Martin, I said, Martin, all the people, 500-600 trainers there, I'm not sure, but I think you might have been the only black trainer I saw. And he laughed. He goes, yeah, people don't understand how nerve-wracking that is,
Yeah.
you know? And I know I've been the only white guy amongst 500 black people. And when you first enter that kind of thing, you're like, holy shit, I hope people will accept me. You know what I mean? And he just laughed. And I think he was refreshed to hear that I understood that, you know, it's not the same for him. Even though everyone loves him, it's still different. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, I understand.
You know?
Yeah.
And so I just think that's why people have to, this may fail miserably. It may get ugly at times. I don't know, but I got a feeling it won't. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think something good will come out of it for some, and I hope everyone gets something out of it. I really do. You know, what do you think? What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's definitely my goal for tonight is like if even one person gets something out of this that's hopeful, that's inspiring. I am cheesy and lovey and and I think my personal belief is everything moves in the direction of love. Like everything moves in the direction of love. So anything that we can do to speed that along. And to me, that's what tonight is about. It's not, about us getting all like super crazy, lovey-dovey, but just figuring out a way to come together. Like,
yeah, sure.
That's everything.
Well, let me ask you this. Everything going on today.
Yep.
Between the virus and the race things are awful right now if you watch the news, and in certain places they are bad, but even in the places that you looked at are bad, it's not black against white.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's white and black against cops or Republicans against Democrats. So it's not even like this race battle that the media wants it to be, and they try very hard to make it like that. Has it affected you in any way, good or bad? Has it?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's, I'm going to be a little bit choice with my words because there are some areas I kind of don't want to go to. But just growing up in this country, I've had a lot of incredible opportunities. I've also had a lot of really terrible experiences based on things that I cannot change, right? Like the color of my skin.
Right.
They started when I was very, very young, very, very young. And in the womb even, right? My mom had her experiences, my, ancestors had their experiences. And those things, of course, there is definitely a such thing as generational trauma. So there's some of that I just came into the world with, right? And then I had, all of my own experiences. And I think one thing that happens with people that have a lot of experiences around racism or around their weight or, even weight is I won't go into that so much, but when people have experiences around things that they believe that they cannot change or they legitimately cannot change, right? So I legitimately cannot change the color of my skin, yet I have been called names. I have been kicked out of establishments. I have been profiled in a number of ways, by people in authority, people not in authority. And it happens all the time. I have people that won't even make eye contact with me just because of the color of my skin, right? So after you have each of those experiences leaves some residual trauma. And because they all feel painful and we don't have a lot of outlets to be able to deal with that pain. And so those little teeny experiences just stack and stack and stack. And over time, those things in some way start to define your outlook and how you feel and the things that you think. So I'm not going to go into like my whole life story, but leading up to this year and even these, last few years where these images are so in our face of, on a larger scale, the things that I have gone through on a smaller scale, right? So when I see someone, being mistreated by authority because of what my perception is because of the color of their skin, right? I'm not there in the actual situation, so I don't want to comment further on that. But my perception is that they are treated differently because of the color of their skin. Well, every single one of those small traumas that I've had, those all begin to manifest. They
Sure.
all start to come up for me every time I see those images. So, yeah, it brings up a lot of emotion and it raises a lot of questions for me, about because I am a person that wants to unite, and I am a person that enjoys bringing people together. I have, half of my family is white. My stepdad is white. He has children. They have children. And, if people look at my profile page and my little banner page on Facebook, here I am with this white woman, right? She's extremely, extremely important to me. She passed away last year. And so, there's just a lot of emotion that comes up because there's this trauma that's sort of, I'm trying to balance out with this desire to move forward without holding on to a lot of trauma, if that makes sense.
Sure.
It's a really difficult place to be. And there's also a recognition that, things absolutely need to change. There's always room for growth, but I think right now where we are in this country with, just a lot of the sentiment that the media is pushing out. And I'm 100% in agreement with you that the media, I don't care what side, but the media pushes messages that intentionally divide people.
Absolutely.
That said, there are always things that we need to change, right? So when I take those experiences into consideration and then I kind of step into the dog world, right? So here I'm going to bridge, what I personally feel and struggle with in the dog world, because I know that there are a lot of people in the dog industry on this today. And what I see, and this is why I actually for a good long while, I took Facebook off my phone completely. Because I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to have any friends at the end of all of this, right? But what I see is there are some really significant political divides within the dog industry. And those become so prevalent in our limited interactions, right? So especially now due to COVID, we're not having a lot of in-person interactions.
Right.
So we're getting this imbalance that I have not experienced before, where all I'm seeing of a person that I know and love is how different we are, not just politically, but even potentially in terms of human rights, the stance on human rights, right? And so we don't have that balance anymore of like, we get together and we have these great experiences, and then I see what I see online. It's all just online. And it really starts to make you question the people that you spend a lot of time with and what they think about you. And so then for me, at least, I start to get bogged down with these concerns, right? Like, if this person is actually leveraging a Black person's trauma to make a point about their political beliefs, what do they think about me? Like, what do they really think about me? And, have they been real, friends to me? Or is it just that when we're in these social gatherings, they're just, friendly? But do they behind their back, think that I'm, this or that? So I'm sorry. I'm like trying to be very careful with some of my words here.
Well, don't be. Don't be.
Yeah.
Be honest, because like I said, no matter what we say tonight, there will be people that find this very positive. There's going to be people that it pisses off. I don't really give a damn. I'm maxed out on my friends list. I could lose at least 2,500 people and take on people. But listen, I don't need people to be like-minded with me.
Sure.
But what I'm starting to see, Mahogany, is people, if you think differently than them, right away they think you're against them. And that's so not true. People could think very differently. Part of the way this started was I shared a meme a couple of weeks ago right? It wasn't my own words. I saw something, and it had to do with the little boy that was shot in the head, and someone posted it, and I shared it. And I was so outraged by that. And I was so outraged that the media wasn't talking about it, even though I knew what they were trying to do. And I shared it out of anger, right?
Yep.
My purpose of sharing that was to show how biased the media is. That was the purpose. But it pissed a lot of my black friends off. And I knew it immediately because two people this impressed me so much about them too, because two of my friends, hello, Lauren and Adam, they shared it. They shared my post, even though they didn't agree with it. That's someone who cares about you. Now, my buddy Adam, who's going to be on here next week, he shared it and said, we need to talk ASAP, shake my head. And I was like, okay. But the thing that got me, Mahogany, was there was a young black trainer out of New York, out of Brooklyn. I saw him comment, and he said something to the effect, he's like, wow, I used to really look up to this guy. I'm really disappointed. That hurt. Like, that truly ripped my heart out, because that wasn't my intention at all. If someone would have had nasty things to say about me or call me a racist, I'm okay with that, because I know who I am. And my 48 years, I've never been accused of that, because I'm quite opposite. Okay. But when he said he was disappointed and I was someone that he looked up to, something to that effect, it really hurt. And I thought about it all night. And I tried to comment on his page, because he had said something about it on his page. And I got, people, it started getting ugly. So I didn't want to go there. So I called him. I sent him a message the next day. I said, listen, I'd love to talk to you about this. And if you don't want to, I totally understand. And he responded back and he said, no, it's, we'll talk. And I called him and we talked, and it was the best thing I could have done. Really super great guy. He was very honest with me, and I was very honest with him, and he understood where I was coming from, and I understood where he was coming from. But my friend Adam, he said it best. He goes, those weren't your words. He goes, I knew you didn't mean it the way people took it, but you have to say things in your words. You can't use someone else's words, because it didn't look, and I understood it. And I upset a lot of people with that. Now, if I meant it, I would have stuck by it. You know what I mean? And even my wife said, you need to take that down. And I said, no, I'm not going to take it down, because then I look like I'm doing that just because of the pressure. I have to own it. If I screw up, I have to own it. You know what I mean? And so it stayed up for a while. And when it was up long enough, then I took it down. But the thing that affected me most about that was that few of my black friends shared it, even though they were upset by it. That's true friend. That's a true friend right there. And that just makes you feel more like shit than anything. You know what I mean? But they know me. They know me. So there's a big difference. And I understand that. I think we talked about this before we went live. I never saw myself as having a platform or a public figure. And let's face it, I'm not. But the dog world is small. So the dog world can make you feel like a bigger deal than you really are. Make no mistake about it. I don't think that. But when I do say something, especially if it's wrong, I know about it very quickly. And there was this sweet little old lady from England that came to my first seminar ever that told me several years ago, she said, stop with the political stuff, because you're a public figure now. And I said, I'm not a public figure. She said, you are. And it was within that month I said something controversial and it exploded. I said, wow, she warned me. You know what I mean? But part of me doing this, there's my buddy Adam. The part of me doing this, Mahogany, when I did my first live with a friend of mine that I grew up with, had nothing to do with dogs. It was in the middle of the George Floyd thing. It's when things were at its worst. And I just felt there's been a lot of people of color in my life, my whole life, that have been very good to me, my whole life, from the time I was a little kid. And I'm a very big believer in giving back and never forgetting who was there for you. Never. And there were times when I was not a good kid. I'm a federal agent now. I was not always federal agent material. My wife made me that. Okay. I was not a good kid, and I'll never forget the times. One time sticks out in my head. I was going out at night with my friends, and I invited another one of my friends out. Black kid, good kid, right? Came from a bad area, but he was a good kid, and his mom ruled with an iron fist.
Mm-hmm.
She was no joke. He feared his mama, and so did I. And I tried to get him to go out with me, and he refused. And finally, I said, "Why won't you go out with me?" And he said, "Because, hey, Wallace," he said, "because you're going to get in trouble, and I can't get in trouble." I said, "Man, I'm not going to get in trouble." We went out that night, Mahogany, and I got arrested. And he was with me. And I grew up in a predominantly Italian town, and there were some real shitty cops there. And I'll never forget sitting in that police department and looking over and seeing his face, how devastated he was and how scared he was.
Yeah.
Because they treated him worse than they treated me, even though I was the scumbag. And that really bothered. I never forgot that. I never forgot that. And he's been my friend for forever. You know what I mean? But if you would have came in from the outside and you put me and him together, whether people want to believe it or not, if someone would have said, "Hey, who was the troublemaker here?" they would have pointed to the black kid. There's no doubt about it. I know that.
Right.
And so when some of the people had issues with me doing this, I've seen all sides, right? I've been a federal agent for 25 years. I was a son of a bitch as a kid. A good portion of my friends were people of color. I grew up with everything in New Jersey. I was very, very fortunate that way. And I've seen the treatment on all sides. I've seen it all. So people don't make this up. You know what I mean? And that's why I thought that I was obligated to give people like yourself a platform to say, "Hey, listen, fuckers, I have it good, but I also don't have it as good as you maybe at times." You know what I mean? And I think it's important for people to understand that, Now in the dog world, you're well respected in the dog world. Has it affected you ever from the day you started getting in dogs in a negative way? Was it tougher on you in any way?
Yeah, it's been tougher on me. I mean, I think for me personally, like just being in California and being in the Bay Area, I've been very lucky business wise. People are fairly progressive here and open-minded. I am careful. I'm very cautious if I'm going into a predominantly white neighborhood, and I'm meeting a client for the first time at their front door. I always text first, make sure I don't just show up as a black person at their front door. Those are the things that
that's something that other trainers don't think about.
Yeah.
And it's little things like that they don't think about. And you do have to think about that. I get it.
Think about it.
I totally get it. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, it's okay. I mean, even, I actually, I finally got not a Sprinter van, but I got a Ford Transit van. And I'll tell you, I was so happy when Amazon switched to all vans. Yeah. Because then, it's like, at least I can look like a delivery person. And this is the shit that goes through my mind, right? Like, if they think I'm delivering something, I don't have just, some big, like, solid white creeper van. And people say, what's this girl, doing, showing up in the neighborhood with a big old van. So I'm like, well, at least I live, or at least I can look like a delivery person. But that's definitely something I have to think about. A friend of mine, Lisa Mays, got me into doing dog sports. And for me, that was definitely the hardest area. I received a lot of shitty treatment at the AKC club. The AKC club actually for me was the hardest. It was the worst. I left the AKC club after some really significant mistreatment. You know, dog sports has been a little bit challenging. Like someone did ask, you know, what sports do I do? Right now, I primarily do Mondio ring, but I've done dock diving, rally obedience, and, you know, I've dabbled in some of the AKC obedience. I really, really love the ring sports. And the ring sports can be challenging for sure. You know, going into rural areas that are predominantly white and driving in, and you know, for me, seeing like a, you know, a humongous, like someone spent a lot of money making this fuck monkey Obama sign like a couple of blocks from the destination, right? And of course, you know, that wasn't the home of the person hosting.
Right.
But just being in an area where, you know, something like that is celebrated, or not even, you know, just a few months back, just driving through an area where, you know, down their main street, right? So I'm, you know, going to do some dog stuff, and down the main street is just tons of all lives matter signs. And I'm not even going to get into that tonight, but for a Black person, driving through, you know, a town where on their main street, you've got, you know, just again, like somebody spent money on these to put these together. It's so uncomfortable. And a little bit.
Why don't you want to get into the all lives matter thing?
I don't want to get into the term, you know, the all lives matter term, but and maybe we can get into that. Maybe we'll come back to that. But I'm, you know, just a little bit like what you shared with your time as a young guy. You know, I spent a lot of time with my friend Lisa Mays, and she drove like a psycho. Like, and so, you know, getting into certain areas, I actually would have to tell her, like, you need to slow down and drive legally, because I cannot afford for you to get pulled over. And that, it's like, those are all the kinds of things that, you know, as a Black person, we have to think about. Like, I can't get pulled over in a certain area, in a certain part of this country, in certain parts of the Bay Area. So you have a little smirk on your face.
It's funny you said that, because something else just popped in my head. When I was young, I had my dad's car, and I was in a bad area, right? And I was with three of my friends, three Black guys. I'm the white guy driving. We had beer in the car, a lot of beer. And we're driving around, and I kind of got into it with this guy at a payphone, and it was a bad area. We got into it a little. I had a little issue. And once it was over, we got in the car and we left. And we're on Interstate 21 going into Newark, New Jersey. Bad, rough place, right? All of a sudden, there's lights and sirens all around coming for us. I'm like, holy shit. We're all drinking. There's a case of beer in the car. We're surrounded by like 8 or 9 cop cars. They pull us over, and they all have us at gunpoint, calling the driver out of the car. I was the driver. I get out with my hands up. What had happened was the guy that I got into it with called and said I pulled a gun and stuck him up. Okay. The cops take me into the back. They have guns on my friends in the car, the 3 Black guys, and they take me to the back to open the trunk. And there's all the beer, all open. And I'm thinking, I'm going to jail. All they were looking for was guns. They didn't care. And there was no doubt in my mind, and I know this, I'm not an idiot. If I wasn't a white guy, I was going to jail. You know, my friends were so grateful I was driving. They really were, and they let us go. But it's little things like this that I knew because I had these experiences as a kid. You know what I mean? If you don't experience all kinds of people in all kinds of situations, you don't know. You don't know. So I know you wanted to steer away from the all lives matter thing, but I'm going to tell you from my perspective why people say that and why they do, whether you think it's right or not. This is where people, if Wallace is still on here, don't go hard on me, Wallace, okay? Save it for Sunday. Take it easy on me. Wallace is intimidating, and I don't intimidate very easily. What happens with that is I don't know anybody who has an issue with saying Black Lives Matter. I really don't, personally. No one, maybe I'm wrong, but of course Black Lives Matter. Okay. I think the people that refuse to say it and say all lives matter, they don't understand that your life as a Black man or woman isn't being discounted saying Black Lives Matter. You're already included. In a lot of the world, your life matters automatically. What the Black community is saying is our lives matter too. Does that make sense? That's correct, right? People don't think, just like when you talk about white privilege, this is a fiery one. People get fired up, right? I used to be one of them because I grew up poor. I didn't have anything. I had to bust my ass. And so that white privilege thing used to bother me until I heard someone explain it in a very simple way. I don't remember who it was, but it was brilliant because it resonated with me. It doesn't mean you as a non-Black person didn't struggle or had anything given to you. It just meant that the color of your skin didn't hold you back. It was that simple. That's all I had to hear. I said, son of a bitch, that makes sense. Yes, I get it. But if you're unwilling to just listen to other people, you're screwed. Nothing's going to go any further. And the whole purpose why I wanted to do this, Mahogany, was, like I said, I knew it was going to piss people off, but I don't give a damn about that. I'm so glad we have so many people lined up to get everyone's side of things, but just the fact that you didn't want to talk about the all lives matter thing, that's saying something, because in your head, and you correct me if I'm wrong, you believe one way that upsets you probably because of similar what I was just talking about, but you can't win with a lot of people. They're going to think that you're putting yourself or the Black race above everyone else. And I get that it's very opposite. You know what I mean? And I'm a hard-headed son of a bitch. So if I can get it, on another note, there's a big difference between Black Lives Matter. Of course they do. Every Black life matters. No doubt about it. People have to be able to say that. And I think so many people struggle with it because of the organization. And there's a big difference between the Black population and an organization that's linked up with another organization, Antifa, that the news shows constantly, and there's nothing but conflict and bad things. So it's a really tough situation for people because they don't want to say that, because then they feel like they're supporting that group. I don't see it that way. What about you? And you said you didn't want to talk about this, and now I'm talking about it. Well, and listen, people have a lot of questions for you, so you're going to take the questions, and a lot of it's just dog related. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's totally fine. I think you probably know quite a few people who are unwilling to say Black Lives Matter,
sure.
But because of exactly what you said, right?
Sure. Yeah.
I think that even if you are, hard-headed, your words, I'm not saying that, but even if you are, because you've had a lot of varied experiences, you're going to be more open-minded, right? So someone who hasn't grown up around Black people, who hasn't had a lot of experiences, there are people in this country who've rarely ever interacted with a Black person.
True.
Or vice versa, right? So, as far as, countries go, we're a country where it's not that encouraged for, I think schools are doing it more now, but we're one of the only developed countries where most people can only speak one language. We're not very encouraged to go out and to meet people that are different than us and to have these varied experiences. And I think that those experiences help open people's minds so that they can comprehend, because everybody's heard 1,000 times the explanation that you share, maybe not 1,000 times, but if they spend 5 minutes on social media, they've heard someone explain why people say Black Lives Matter,
right?
And even still they want to fight to the death and refute it. They literally want to refute it. So I don't have any problem with someone having a genuine sentiment that I love and care about everybody and all lives matter. But typically when people say that, that's not where it's coming from.
Sure.
Typically when people say that, it's a refutation of Black Lives Matter. And so that's when I start to have an issue with it, because it shouldn't be said in response to someone saying Black Lives Matter. And it is. It always is.
Yeah. It'd be real easy just to say absolutely. Of course they
Yeah.
do.
Yeah.
100%.
Right.
There's no doubt about it.
Right. So, but that for me is where it becomes an issue and where it becomes uncomfortable. And the truth of the matter is, if you go into any town and line down their main road, you see a bunch of all lives matter signs. I'm going to tell you for sure the population of Black people in that town is probably about 1%, if that.
Yeah, and you know what? And I can almost guarantee you, not with everyone, Mahogany, but if they took time to get to know people, Black people, they would understand a little quicker.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be that animosity or that ignorance there, because a lot of it is a lack of just knowing and ever having that experience. I am extremely beneficial with the experiences I've had my whole life. You
Yeah.
know, my wife says it all the time. You know, my wife's Peruvian. She's got dark skin. There's no doubt in my mind. For a long time when we moved here, people were trying to figure, what the hell is she? Most people thought she was mixed, black and white. No one even knows what. A lot of people around here didn't know what Peruvian was. My kids are mixed. You know what I mean? When my wife first started working here, she had a little old lady where she was working tell her boss, "Oh my God, that girl is so sweet." And he said, "What girl?" And she said, "The colored girl." You know, my wife was blown. We're from New Jersey. We're from the New York area. We've never heard someone refer to her as the colored. That woman meant nothing bad by it. She didn't know any different.
Right.
At first my wife was real taken back, but she understood the woman didn't mean anything by it. That's the life she grew up around. You understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Me as a kid, I remember walking into Trenton Boys Club. Trenton Boys Club was a rough place. Had to have a police escort in, police escort out. I'm the only white kid in this whole place, and I'm young. I'm the youngest kid on our team. When I came into the game, the whole place started booing. Booing. I was the white kid, right? The only non-black in the whole booing. I was like, oh, I'm scared to death because I was young. I was a little kid. Years later, we're going back to play there, and I'm the captain of the team now. I'm the starting point guard. And I'm telling everyone about this big giant stadium we're going to, and how everyone was just booing me. And then when we walked into this place, Mahogany, it was probably the smallest gym we played in. But it had such an impact on me because I was so overwhelmed by people ganging up on me that I remember it's this big, enormous place. But let me tell you something about Black people, okay? I'm going to tell you something about Black people.
Okay, let's hear it.
I've gone into many places as a kid to play basketball. That was my life as a kid. I lived with a basketball in my hand. And a lot of these places, I'd be the only white kid in there. And I'd always get booed, right? But the second you start whooping their ass, the crowd is all for you. Then they love you. They love you. They love seeing their own team get their ass whooped by a white kid, and they love you. And that's all they care about, your heart and what you give to the game, right? So a lot of people would have thought it was a racial thing. I never took it as a racial thing. I was the only white kid. It's easy to boo me and try to shake me up. You know what I mean? And as a little kid, it did. But the second, I'll never forget, we're playing Kips Bay in the Bronx. At the same time, Jennifer Lopez used to go there as a kid, right? We walk into this gym and they're booing, laughing at us. We had a shitty team, right? Booing, 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 going crazy. Beautiful place. And we say, okay, me and my buddy that I was talking about earlier that I got arrested, I go up, layup drills, I throw up the ball, I throw it on a dunk. The whole place explodes because this white kid can dunk a basketball. That whole game, they cheered for our team, and we won. We beat this team we should have never beat. That's the difference. I'm going to piss off a lot of people right now. if a black basketball player walks into a rural place where he's the only black guy in there and gets booed for being black, they're never going to cheer for him. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I never experienced that. I got booed for being the only white kid. But the second I started laying it on them, everybody loved me. That's the difference. Now, a lot of white people will get angry by that statement, but I'm just telling you the truth, what I've experienced. You understand what I'm saying? And that's it. And I'm very blessed to have had all those experiences that a lot of people never will. And my wife says it all the time. She hates that my kids aren't around that more. You know, my wife's Hispanic. We live in Kentucky. You know, when we moved here 21 years ago, you were either white, black, or Mexican. Mexican was the only Latin people that people thought of. I had someone say, "What's your wife?" I said, "She's Peruvian." And they said to me, "Where's Peruvia?" I almost peed my pants. You know what I mean? So I don't know. You have a lot of questions here.
Okay.
People want to pick your brain, you know, and but you talk about anything that you want. I just want you to understand you have this platform. Don't be scared to say anything. And I'm very grateful that I get to tell you where I come from. Okay.
Yeah.
Because it will help you see my side also. You know,
I appreciate it too.
You know, I have. Mark Oppenheimer wants to know, Mahogany, who were your dog training inspirations when you were coming through the ranks?
That's a good question. You know, when I started, I think I started like most trainers, not knowing anybody and, you know, not having that many inspirations initially anyway. And when I started, I was living in Southern California. I kind of fell into dog training, to be honest. I used to watch dog behavior when I was a kid. My uncle had a couple of big pit bully things. I don't even remember accurately at this stage what they were, but they were huge dogs. Everybody in the neighborhood was terrified of them. And I was obsessed with just watching their behavior. And so it was always something that I thought about. And I took a few different paths. I wanted to go into the military initially, and then I wanted to be a doctor. And right out of high school, I went into EMT school, worked my way through paramedic school, and then was determined to become a fire medic. And my friends in the San Francisco Fire Department, they just told me horror stories one after another of being Black in the fire department or being a woman in the fire department. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to stick to being a medic. I really enjoyed it. I had like incredible experiences. And then I just had a really weird shift. I got headhunted and ended up working for a nonprofit organization, a Buddhist nonprofit in the organization that I grew up in, because I grew up Buddhist. And
did you really?
I did, yeah.
How the hell did that happen? All right, continue. You can get to that later.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. And let's see. So I worked for the Buddhist nonprofit, and I love dogs so much that my friends who had dogs would ask me to board their dogs while they traveled, and it just was fun for me to train them while I did it. And that's what I did. They'd come back from their trip and be like, "The hell did you do to my dog? Like, my dog knows all these commands now." And I just started having fun with it. So while I was in Southern California, I started to just, take classes, shadow people as much as I could. I mean, I had a very, very busy job. But I started to kind of try to get myself around more trainers because I knew it was something I would want to do. And then I ended up with a dog that I couldn't handle. And everything I tried, everything I knew was very reward-based, pure positive, whatever you want to call it. And I had tried everything I knew. I took her to the different trainers that I had become familiar with. You know, we spent a lot of time working on things, and it just we couldn't make progress. She wanted to bite people. She had just had a lot of issues. So my company transferred me up to Northern California. I was in SoCal at the time, and they transferred me up. And I was like, I got to do something with this dog. And I ended up meeting a woman, Kathy Keir, who helped me with my dog. And I was so, just everything that she, you know, told me about dog behavior and everything that she showed me was, it just opened up a whole other side to dog training for me. And I'm just kind of fast forwarding through all of this, but we had some philosophical differences. And I wanted to, you know, kind of shift gears with training. I wanted to focus more on reward-based training, and I just wanted to get into different things. And that's kind of how I came across Lisa Mays. Lisa Mays was like a fucking phenomenal trainer. Tons of experience, you know, decades of experience. She just was a person that, like many dog trainers actually, that would get a little insecure socially. And so she didn't have a lot of opportunities to really put herself out there, but she was incredible, the things that she achieved. And she just inspired so much of my journey. It was really incredible. And so I would say she's definitely my biggest influence in dog training. I mean, in particular, not particularly in sports. She was a phenom in sports. She was a phenom as a pet dog trainer. We became very, very good friends, and you know, So I've spent time with Michael Ellis. There was a lot of, you know, stuff there that was influential for me as far as sports go. You know, Michael was the first person that, Lisa was the first person that gave me the confidence that I could be a decoy, which I was like, I can't be a decoy. Like, women aren't decoys. That is legitimately what I thought. And I had never seen any black decoys until I met David Wright. But Lisa just kind of encouraged me. She's like, come on, get a suit. I'll tell you what you need to do. And then I got a lot of encouragement there from Michael. So, you know, I would say those were my like earlier influences.
Amazing how many people Michael has had an effect on in the dog training world.
Mm-hmm.
Big time. Yeah, it really is. Let's see. Was that? I'm looking for more questions. Susan May says, I also wondered this. I noticed a lot more fearful responses to my large dogs in the people of color community. I've always wondered what cultural life differences create that perspective. What do you think about that, Mahogany?
There are a lot of okay, wow, so that's a big one to get into. I mean, I am one of my very best friends is a new therapist, and she and I have been talking for years, you know, through her education about generational trauma and how things that our ancestors went through actually end up sort of embedded within our DNA. And those kind of epigenetics are not that hard to understand if you've done anything with, yeah. So you got it, right? So for people who don't know, I think probably a lot of people do, but for people who don't know, Blacks in the South, in particular in the South, but this did happen in other areas of the country, they were attacked by dogs. Slaves were chased down and attacked by dogs. And I think that that trauma is very much rooted, I think, in Black culture. I also think that there are a lot of instances of, I kind of want to call it maybe like show of force. I don't know if that's the right term, but there's a lot of policing in Black neighborhoods. And when police show up with these pointy-eared dogs, there's a little bit of attachment, right? So in a lot of Black neighborhoods, people are fearful of the police, and then they become fearful of the dogs that are with the police. I think that there are, also culturally, I think the ways that Black people live with dogs, and I'm mostly speaking about my family from the South.
It's not just Black people, Mahogany. It's in the South, period. It's
Okay.
all in the South.
It could just be in the South. So my mom moved us out of the South when I was 2 years old, and I've been back for family reunions, but my experiences in the South are very limited. So I know what my family tells me and the experiences I've had when I've been there. But it's the ways that people live with dogs are different, right? So, I think there's a lot of stuff converging. I also think that when it comes to experiences with animals in general, you don't see a lot of Black kids having opportunities with different animals. You really don't. If you go to zoos or marine shows, horseback riding. I actually just started horseback riding again for the first time in like 20 years. And the reason I did is because there's a Black woman here who's a horse rider, and she started a company, and she's creating these opportunities for Black people, and particularly Black children, to get into learning about horses and riding horses. And it was, for me, I needed to see that. Because when I rode horses before, I never saw anybody that looked like me. So I think there's, there's a lot to your question. I think there's, the generational trauma aspect. There are present experiences that happen between Black people and dogs. And then, of course, you have, the lack of resources for a lot of people. So I would, encourage people that are seeing that to maybe, if it's within your wheelhouse, create some opportunities for young Black kids to gain more experience with dogs to help build their confidence.
Did you ever see the YouTube video I did several years ago about dogs and racism?
I don't think I saw that. No.
Okay. I did a video several years ago because as a white trainer, you don't hear this. But what I used to hear a lot is people would whisper and they'd say, my dogs don't like Black people.
Oh, yeah.
And they were serious about their dog's reaction. So I did a whole video on this. And what I had to explain was, it's not that your dogs don't like Black people, they haven't seen it, they don't care. But if you're walking down the street and you see a Black man or a Black woman coming and you get uncomfortable, your dog's reacting to you being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I must have had like 2,000 emails from Black people saying, thank you. No one's ever talked about it. You know what I mean? And like, how could this be that no one's ever talked about this? It has nothing to do with the dog. It has to do, and usually it's not a racism thing from people's standpoint, walking their dog. It's an uncomfortable and a fear-based thing. So when the white owner walking the dog becomes scared of who's coming toward them, the dog's going to react. But the dog's not reacting because it's racist. The dog's reacting off you being scared to death. You know what I mean? And I can't believe the response I had from people emailing me like, no one's ever talked about it. And I'm thinking, why? Why is this stuff why does it have to be taboo to talk about it? I talk about anything. I don't care. And I'm not always going to be well received because sometimes I say things I probably shouldn't. My wife is completely opposite from me. Very proper, very quiet. And how she has dealt with me for 30 years, I have no idea. I have no idea. Brian in Birmingham says, I almost thought this comment was going bad, but then I read the whole thing. He says, if you are a Christian and can't hear Black Lives Matter without feeling the need to respond with a criticism that all lives matter, Then crack open your Bible and hit up Luke 15. Don't have it handy? Let me summarize. There are 100 sheep, but one goes missing. Jesus leaves the 99 and goes after the one. The 99. But what about us? Don't we matter? Of course, the 99 still matter, but they're not the ones in danger. The one is, I'll say it again, Black Lives Matter. That's pretty good. That's very, very, very interesting. When I first started reading, I said, oh, this isn't going to be good. You know, I jumped to conclusions. We all do it.
And the, you know, sort of the I mean, I did grow up Buddhist, but I do know that one of the founding principles of Christianity is that man was created in the image of God, right? So if we were all created in God's image, then we are all worthy and we are all equal. And there should not be distinction in between us as human beings.
Sure. And I think where, the more I drink, the more I'm loose with the lips and I'll get myself in trouble. My wife just
I should have a couple drinks, actually.
You should. I'm impressed that you're not, because I was very nervous about this. But I always found it interesting and very hypocritical. As a kid, all my idols were black. Okay, not because they were black. It just happened to be that way. I didn't care who they were. I'm a huge boxing fan. There weren't a lot of white boxers to idolize, so my heroes were black. And I don't understand, because I've seen people throughout the years who idolize black athletes or black musicians, and they're pretty damn intolerant. and could still be racist, but their hero, you know, is you know, a black football player and I never understood that, you know. All right, we're gonna get you more questions here.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. People said I'm talking too much. They want to hear from you. They are asking questions. I just have to go through them because there's a lot of comments. Hey, Clover, how are you? Clover, do me a favor. Do our interview with no shirt on, because the ladies really seem to like you. He's causing a firestorm and starting fights on my page.
Oh, no.
All right. Dog training. I'm looking for questions for you, Mahogany.
All right.
Let's see. I see a lot of statements, not a lot of questions. Do you have any questions for people, Mahogany?
I want to know, because I think that I actually want to know how people are feeling. I mean, we have talked a lot about race tonight.
Sure.
And I'm just sort of interested in where people are at. You know, what was intriguing for people about this conversation between us. I just want to see where people are at, and maybe we can talk a little bit more on that. I know a lot of people want to know about, you know, so I've seen some comments about, like, let's talk more about training. That's very broad. So
yeah. Let me ask you something. What's the worst experience you've ever had as a black trainer? Was there one thing that stands out in your mind?
No, there's not. There, for me, there's not one thing. There's a lot of little things and microaggressions. And the microaggressions are they can be a little bit difficult to convey to people, because when you're in that situation and you're standing in front of someone, you know, in your heart of hearts that they are treating you the way they're treating you because you're black. Sure. But to convey it to someone else can be a little bit difficult. I will, you know, one interesting experience, and I'm going to bring up my friend Eleanor. I'm sure she's on. We were traveling together one time. She's Canadian, so she's super nice. And so she, you know, I've told her about my experiences, but she really hadn't seen anything firsthand, even in the time we spend together, and we spend a lot of time together. We were in the airport on our way to a retreat, and someone came up to me. So I had my dog with me, and someone came up to me and starts talking to me about my dog. But in the entire time he's talking, me and this man are having a conversation. He's asking questions, I'm responding, and the entire time he's only making eye contact with Eleanor. He never once makes eye contact with me. It's my dog. I'm answering the questions, but it was this, and perhaps it was discomfort, perhaps he just thought Eleanor was cuter. I don't know. But it was, for her, it was very telling because
she noticed.
Yeah, because she's the one. I mean, I noticed. I always notice. But for me, that's just everyday life, right? If I'm with a group of white people, even at a restaurant, if I go out with some of my club members, we are mostly, actually, we do have a pretty diverse club, but we have a lot of white folks in our club. And if we go out to eat, I'm even in California, like the waiter or waitress might not look at me at all. And that's something that I'm so used to. It bothers me every time it happens. But for me, it's like, yeah, like this is just life now. But it really stood out to Eleanor, and she brought it up, and she was really bothered by it. She was really hurt by it. So, I've been to seminars, I've been to trials where nobody will speak to me. And I mean, nobody will speak to me. And I've been in areas that I'm just completely fucking uncomfortable being the only Black person. So I have a lot of experiences. I wouldn't say I haven't had one, single major, actually my experience in the AKC club and just the way I was treated by a couple of women, and they basically, they put me on blast. Sorry, that's Remy. They put me on blast to the entire AKC club. It was pretty wild, and it was definitely influenced by my race. They ended up changing the locks and the keys at the AKC club. And anyway, like that was probably the most obvious. And
but when you're at something like that, you said something about the AKC.
Yeah.
I blame the people there more than the AKC, because
I'm not blaming the AKC at all.
You can't be that blind to see that someone's there by themselves. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
That's when people have to step up and say, let's go, come with us.
Yeah.
That's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Wallace has a good question. Mr. Wallace Payne says, how many dogs have you titled and what are your goals? This is Wallace now. Now you're on it, because Wallace don't play around.
Oh goodness. I've titled dogs in Raleigh and Mondio Ring. I've titled 2 dogs in Mondio Ring. That's where my focus is right now, like almost exclusively, because Mondio Ring takes up a lot of time and collects a lot of junk, the rules of Mondio. I've got 2 females right now that I'm training in Mondio Ring. So I'm training Lexi. We're going for our first level 2 coming up in November. And then I have a young dog, Stasia, who is a wild child. And I'm actually still deciding with her if I want to stick with Mondio Ring or if I want to go into French Ring, just to understand that sport a little bit better. But I really love the bite sports personally. I'm always trying to, strengthen my own skills as a club decoy. I'm not a trial decoy. That's not one of my goals, but I want to be a better club decoy. And if my dogs are, if I do my job right as a trainer, and as a handler, and if my dogs are up for it, I would love to, go on the world stage, if that ever works out. As far as a hard goal around that, there's so many different elements, and I don't like to go into it putting that kind of pressure on mostly my dog. I want my dogs to have a good time, and it's a lot of training as it is. So if we make it to the world stage, fantastic. If we ever have a world stage again post COVID,
Yeah,
who
no
the
kidding.
hell knows?
Sure.
But right now I'm focusing on my two girls.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Wakeman Crystal wants to know, please describe the microaggression that you want called out. Too many sitting by idly. I'm not sure what he means, but I think you do.
Yeah. I think I really would love to encourage all of those who consider themselves allies to call out any microaggressions. And those vary so greatly, but I think, when you have a sole person of color in any environment. I went to the Clicker Expo. There were 500 people, and I was the only Black person, and nobody there made any effort to get to know me. But I saw people making a lot of effort to get to know others, and so like make some effort, and especially for those that are looking for something to do, for something that they want to do. The microaggressions can come in so many different ways, and I would say that it's a good idea to learn what those microaggressions are, because it can be something as simple as somebody being like, I had somebody actually tell me, like, wow, your hair is so round. And it's like, seriously? Of all the fucking things you can say to me, that's your hair is so round, like, or even someone just, asking if they can touch my hair, or, like there's just those little things that are, everybody's going to notice when you've got one Black person in a room with, a bunch of non-Black people, or people of color, what I'm saying. People, you're going to stand out, and people are going to notice. But what I think is important is that we spend time getting to know people on a personal level, and don't make effort to put energy into the things that make someone different right away. I've had people tell me, wow, you speak really eloquently for a Black person. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, really? Come on.
Really?
Oh, yeah. Many a time, actually. Yeah. So, those are the ways that a lot of microaggressions present. And it's, as a Black person, I can tell you that most Black people we're just so done. We're sick of having to stand up and say, like, wow, this is happening again. Can you catch yourself, or watch yourself, or be a little bit more thoughtful, or think before you say something? And so having, people stand up right now in this time historically to say that they are allies is fucking great. I had a friend that went to a protest here, and she came back and she said, I never thought I would see this in my lifetime, but white people were standing up and taking blows for Black people. And like, it's, everybody's intention was that this be a peaceful protest. But for whatever reason, that didn't happen. But she just said, I never thought I would see white people just standing up. And I don't, I'm not telling anybody to go and throw themselves, into anything violent or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that sentiment of we're standing right there with you together, and we're not, we're not going to allow you to just be hurt and traumatized without doing something about it. I think that's it's been very moving, I think, for a lot of people. And seeing that become something it's commonplace now, right? When we look at, when we look back at pictures of the March on Washington or the protests led by Martin Luther King, you see, white people sprinkled in there. But it was a big deal.
Why do we got sprinkles? Couldn't help it.
Little vanilla sprinkles in there. No, I'm kidding. but now just, to be side by side is becoming pretty commonplace. And so just to feel like people are standing together with us and not, standing against us, or not just sitting back and silently condoning, I think you commented on one of the posts I wrote, Larry, about, how when I was a kid, my friend and I were at a theme park, and
Sure.
we were standing in line, minding our own business. We really weren't like messing with anybody. We were quiet. We were there with my mom's friend, and she had started to develop a sun allergy. So she had to get out of the sun. And when we're standing there, we basically, a young kid about our age that was with his family, called us racial slurs, called us niggers, and we were in everybody here has been at an amusement park of some sort, right? The lines are out of control. This was a water park on a very warm day.
Sure.
Not a single person, not a single adult in that kid's family, not a single person in that line. I mean, we were two kids with another kid and his family, laughing at us and calling us racial slurs. And we basically just had to leave. We were scared I definitely was scared. I thought we were going to get the shit kicked out of us, and nobody said anything. Everybody let us. It was like the most horrifying walk of shame you would ever have to take. We literally had to zigzag out of that line, past tons of people, and nobody said anything.
I find that so amazing, because if you were a stranger to me, I don't know any people that I grew up with of any color that wouldn't have stomped on those people, to be totally blunt. It's just not how we grew up, so I don't understand that, and I remember it broke my heart when I read what you wrote. It blew me away. It really did. Because I knew my friends back home, they experienced plenty of stuff, but not like the people I know down in the South and stuff. When I started moving around the country and meeting people from all over, it was very different. But I've always just enjoyed being with all kinds of people. I always, my kids get mad because I tell them I'm a salamander. That's what I say, a salamander. I'm going to blend wherever I am, because I love everything. I love all cultures and all ethnicities. It's just, I don't understand how people don't. Suzanne Jones wants to know, how has your Buddhist belief influenced your dog training? I'm trying not to talk because people want to hear from you, and I talk a lot. I know it. So I'm trying to cut myself. So if I seem like I'm cutting myself, I'm not cutting you.
I know.
I want you to talk.
It's a little comical, actually. I laugh every time you cut yourself off.
Yeah.
My Buddhist practice has influenced me in a lot of ways, particularly in dog training. Actually, it's not even specifically in dog training, just in general. It's taught me to have a broader outlook. It's taught me to respect life. It's taught me to be patient and understanding. I am not a patient person by nature, like not at all. I am a respectful person by nature, but I really lack patience. So my Buddhist practice is something I can fall back on or rely on to help encourage and inspire that in me, because and actually, like, even ring sport has been helpful for that. I like things to go fast. I always wonder if I should have been like an efficiency expert instead of a dog trainer, because I'm always looking at how can I make things go faster. It's a little side obsession that I have, but I can't do that in dog training. And so just the Buddhist practice of helping me be patient and that's, I would say that's the way it's influenced me the most, particularly in dog training. But just in life, it's made me a much better person. I mean, you want to talk about childhood nuisances. I was also a problem child. And from in junior high school, I was almost expelled for inciting a riot. And much of my childhood was along those lines. So Buddhism really helped me. I went through some depression and suicidal ideation when I was younger. I always talk about how my Buddhist practice really saved me and gave me a path forward, and really encouraged me to value life even more. And so, it's been, I mean, just hugely influential, and it influences every aspect of my lives, not just dog training.
Sure.
My life, not lives.
Yeah, I could probably use some of that because, I'm a little wound tight too. But I'm going to shut up so people don't yell at me. Who was it? Someone said, "Yeah, I've watched your lives. You do talk a lot." When I'm done with my lives, my wife says, "Holy shit, do you have any more words left?" I'm sorry. All right, let's see. Let me see. Tierney Lynn Silver Godin says, "I'd love to know how you feel we should move forward into dog sports now that we know who is openly deflecting, judgmental, and racist." That's a hard question. I'm glad it's for you.
That is a hard question. Oh boy. Well, I'm gonna jump back, and because somebody I sort of glanced at somebody's comment, and I think they sort of said in part, like that it was very generous of me to say that that racists simply lack experiences. And so I'm not being generous toward racists. I am recognizing, and this is going to lead into your question, Tierney. I'm recognizing that it takes people time to have shifts. I do not excuse racism at all. I do not excuse even racial bias. I think we should all have the self-awareness. Like, human beings are fucking powerful. So we should all have the self-awareness. We should all have an ability to self-reflect and be able to catch ourselves in those things and try and do better. The reality is that people have different life experiences. People grew up in different ways. People have different backgrounds. They have different influences. And it would be unfair for me to expect people to change, generations or decades of biases and influences and beliefs overnight. I don't put that expectation on a dog, right? I can take a 6-month-old. I have a 5-month-old puppy that's bitten 6 people, and I don't expect, with bad intent, by the way, and I don't expect him overnight to shift. Right, that's something that I understand is going to take some time and some work and some trust and some patience. So I don't like it, but that's the reality, and I've recognized that that's the reality. So that said, and going into Tierney's question, I think that we should make it uncomfortable for people to be openly racist in any sphere. It should be very uncomfortable. This is my personal belief, right? I don't want, I think the time is kind of over where it's comfortable for people to just, be racist and openly blast death threats against racist people and just all that stuff. I think that time is coming to an end. That said, making it uncomfortable for people to be racist in any sphere or any environment doesn't mean, to me, it doesn't mean that we shun everybody that is. And I know that it's hard for me to say because I know some people will be disappointed to hear that. But I think that we have people that have been so negatively influenced by everything in their life that they're just not ready, right? That's the truth. If somebody grew up in a racist family and that's all the influences that they've had, they're just not ready. And so for us to basically cancel that person, it doesn't give them any chance. And I think that there are people that recognize that they have racial biases and they are ready. And let's put our energy into those people, right? Let's talk with those people and have these discussions. I am going to say that right now, because it's such a difficult time for a lot of Black Americans, we have to be very careful because Black people are not the ones that are going to end racism, right? So it's not, the onus really isn't on Black people to have these discussions. But I think for those that are open and willing to have these discussions with those people that recognize their biases and are open and wanting to change, let's have those discussions. Let's work together. For others, I would like to encourage people to focus again on those that are ready and willing and to want to move forward. And for the others, honestly, let's give them time, because that kind of change has to come from within. And I'm not saying to excuse any of their behavior, any openly expressive or even microaggressions, any of that stuff should be rebuked immediately and strongly. And it should be rebuked by everyone because it's hurtful to others. At the same time, we cannot force people to change, especially at that level. So as far as moving forward, let's move forward and let's move forward in a way that creates unity and trust and friendship among those that want that. And what's going to happen naturally is those that don't want that, those that want discord and disunity, they're going to be pushed out over time, and they'll be happy about it. They'll be happy to leave. Or the other thing that'll happen is they will start to look at themselves and they'll start to question, those, beliefs that they have come to hold onto very strongly. And it might come from within that they start to want to change. So to me, that's in any area, not just dog sports. I personally believe that's the way this is going to happen, and that's the way we're going to move forward.
Dashia Rayford says, advice for making genuine connections within the dog training industry, being a woman and a person of color. By the way, earlier when someone was emailing me, POC, I wanted to know why the hell they talk about point of contact. I'll stop talking though. Go ahead.
Oh my gosh, Larry, I don't want you to always stop talking.
I have to. People want to hear from you. Nicole Charles said, I was going to ask, what'd she say? These people, if they've watched your lives, you do talk a lot on all of them. Laugh my fucking ass off. Yeah, I do. I talk a lot. I definitely do. So I'm trying not to. I'm just zipping it right now. Yeah. I have a question for you. And this is going to be a hard one, okay?
Oh,
how does Black racism, and this is coming from Wallace. I saw your question, Wallace. No, let me change it. Because Wallace's question was very good, okay? I'm actually nervous about doing his live Sunday. By the way, if you're still watching, Wallace, you have to go easy on me. How would you handle, okay? Because people can say anything, all right? So if I'm a white guy, I'm with a bunch of white people, and you hear racist things going on, you handle it one way. You, as a Black woman, you're with a bunch of Black friends, and there's no doubt in my mind you have Black friends that are racist, okay? We all have those, though. We all know people, right? how does that affect you? How do you handle it, or do you handle it at all? Do you just ignore it? Do you address it? How do you handle it? That's a hard question, and I totally understand if you don't want to answer it.
Well, I will definitely answer it. So I'm gonna, because we're a lot of dog people, I'm gonna look at this I'm gonna talk about this in a little bit of a way that, somebody might understand as a dog trainer. So we might have, we might have two reactive dogs, right? And their emotions that lead them into reactivity are completely different. And so while there might be some aspects of our training that are going to be the same, we might follow a certain protocol to an extent. When we look at the root cause, that's ultimately going to shift what we do, right? So the root cause, in my mind, for many Black people that have, I don't know, they might have racial bias. I don't know that I would call them racist personally, but it's oftentimes coming from hurt and it's coming from pain. And I find, because they've had so many experiences throughout the course of their lives that have basically given them the impression that white people are out to hurt them, because many white people have hurt them over time. And you have white people who have historically been advantaged in this country. When they're racist, it's often coming from hatred, or it's often coming from a belief that they are better on whatever level, that they are better than people of color. So I may or may not rebuke someone. That's an interesting word. I don't even know why I'm using it, but I may or may not speak up the same way depending on what's being said, to be completely honest.
Yeah, that's a great answer, actually. And it's definitely an honest answer. It's a great answer. I respect it very, very much.
Thank you.
Because anyone who says, oh, I would disown them, I wouldn't be with them, or I would shut, they're full of shit. That's a very good answer. And I know that's an honest answer. Catherine Smith has a good question. Another awesome female trainer, not a Black woman, but a female trainer. And I've always supported female trainers big time, because there's so many phenomenal female trainers that don't get the attention they deserve. What's your favorite Mondio ring exercise?
Ooh. This is good, and this is so very different from the last question. So let me reorient myself.
We need questions like that. We need more lighthearted questions like that.
I know. I mean, I think a lot of people would say these, but my two, they're pretty tied, are the accessory attack and the object guard. For those who are unfamiliar with Mondio ring, the accessory attack is where the decoys have, some kind of accessory stressor. It could be streamers, it could be a big old bucket of water, it could be, something that makes crazy sounds, it could be really anything, as long as it's not going to be injurious to the dog. And the dog is often surprised by it. And the dog has to, the decoy can challenge the dog and try to keep the dog from coming in for the bite, and the dog has to push through. I love it. It's a great test of, of the dog's willingness to push through things, and their courage to an extent. And then also, sorry, someone's at my house. And then, also the training and exposure, which is one of the things I really love about Mondio ring is, being able to show the dogs tons of different pictures, and you really can never rest. You never feel like, oh, we've shown everything. And then the object guard is the exercise. Can you hear me? Because for me,
Yeah.
my dogs
Yeah,
are like
you're fine.
ridiculously
You're
loud.
fine.
Okay. But the object guard is the exercise where the handler goes out of sight and the dog stands on an object, and whenever the decoy is within a certain proximity, the dog can go off and bite.
And if anyone here doesn't know what the object guard is, they need to get off. They shouldn't be here. Okay? Just kidding.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
If you've never seen it and you look on my page, you'll definitely find an object guard video at the beginning of COVID that we had one of our dogs do on top of a pack of toilet paper.
That's great. Well done.
So, yeah, that was really fun. But yeah, those are my two favorites. Thank you for the light question.
Yeah, that's a great question, Catherine. Angel Huff has a great question or statement here. Do you realize that white people are also unsure how to act? It's not always personal. And I think that's very true. Absolutely. Sure.
Yes, I'm aware.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great comment or question, Angel. It is, because people that haven't been exposed to all races and different nationalities of people, some people are just very uncomfortable. They don't know how to act. Totally get it. Denise, great discussion. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. So, but before you go on to the next, because now you're just like firing off the questions, but
I'm scared to talk. I don't want people saying this guy doesn't shut up. My wife, hey, listen, my wife gave me sticky notes. Tell people to ask questions. This is she put sticky notes on my iPad next to me here, basically telling me shut up.
I love it. Okay, so I do want to say one thing about that, which is, just they're like, let's just be human beings. And I know that's like it can be easier said than done when when you're coming across somebody that is different from you and you don't know how to relate. But you can always say, hi, how's your day going? And that can be the start of, a friendship. That can be the start of anything. So I think, we can get uncomfortable about things, but also sometimes we really just overthink. And so if you see somebody that's, and particularly in the dog world, because we are a small community, just go up and say hi.
Sure. Absolutely.
And it's that simple.
We as humans, just like I talk about in the dog world, we complicate things way too much.
Yeah.
Way too much. Who was it? Wakeman Crystal. Great question. Favorite breed?
Oh, well, I mean, I love Malinois. I mean, maybe someday I'll switch breeds, but right now, I love my Malinois. I really do. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Angel says, get a drink. We are in here for the long haul. I got my bottle right next to me. Okay.
For the long haul. That doesn't sound very encouraging. We're in here for the long haul.
My buddy Adam says people can't be racist, only prejudice. Racism is our actions that affect a particular people within a certain group, usually a institution or power of regulation or resources. Prejudices are individual acts against individual people that sometimes are in groups X in a church together, example, in a church together, in a car together. Sure, Adam. And that's exactly why people should have been for Tupac over Biggie. Your post to me, Adam, was perfect. Tupac talked about this. Biggie did not. And that's why I was a Tupac fan over Biggie any day. I can't wait to talk to Adam. I've never met Adam, and I feel like we've been friends our whole life, because all our discussions are based on like music and sports and everything. And he's just a good guy and a good friend, and I appreciate him very, very much. All right, let's get you. You've had like 50 questions. The same question: difficulty being a female trainer, but we talked about that. Keisha, hey Keisha.
We didn't talk about that so much.
We didn't.
No, we talked a lot about the difficulty of being a Black trainer. We didn't talk so much about the difficulty of being a female trainer. and I think it's worth spending a little time on. And I would love, Remy, stop. Somebody posted, can we please see Remy? Maggie posted, can we please see Remy? And now Remy is like, he's gonna get on my nerves.
Someone told me pour another drink. And Blaze Smith, what's your choice of drink? It's bourbon or scotch, usually. I'm a big bourbon drinker. And I drink during these things. People must think I'm an alcoholic. I get very nervous when I'm doing these things. I really do. I take them very serious. And this subject, this whole thing we're doing, took it to a whole different level.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to expect. And I can't thank you enough, Mahogany, because I think you're absolutely fantastic. And I think you're a straight shooter. And there's been no bullshit here. You're speaking what you think. You're speaking what you feel. And that's all I could ask for. You know, if people don't like it, fuck them. I don't really care. I will have some room for new Facebook friends tonight. I will be unfriended multiple times.
You and me both.
and that's totally okay, because I don't need to associate with those people. You know what I mean? And if you can't have a difference in opinion and still get along with people, I just don't understand that. You know, I just don't understand that. All right. Yeah. Everyone's telling me, quick, grab another drink. They're scared we're going to end it. I was going to end it because I feel bad. We're going on an hour and 45 minutes, you know? All right. Lindsay Garmin.
Wait.
Go ahead, Mahogany.
I got to go back to this as a
female.
Trainer.
Okay. Female. Go ahead.
Because it is very challenging. And I would say that as a woman, and a dog trainer, it's difficult because I think men tend to come out with a lot of I'm going to call it confidence. I don't know what it is for all men, but they tend to come out and really right away start putting themselves out there. And I think that a lot of women naturally are more cautious. They really want to develop themselves and their skills. They tend to do so a little bit more in quiet, is my experience.
Yeah.
And then what happens is we start to feel like there isn't space for us. And there's not space for our voices. There's not space for us to really put ourselves out there. And so I really want to encourage women to do that. I am constantly trying to get better about that, because I think that, you know, a lot of, like Larry, you've said yourself, like, yeah, I'm gonna piss people off. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do that. It's very hard for women to be okay with that a lot of the time, right? So we typically don't want to piss people off. We don't want to get, hate mail. We don't want to be shamed for things that we do. Hell, I wouldn't even post a picture. I took a fantastic picture of a dog, and it was one of those things that I was like, let me just take a picture. We're at somewhere kind of scenic. And the dog had on an e-collar and a prong collar, and the prong collar was below the e-collar. And I was like, you know what? I'm not posting that because somebody's going to write some bullshit. And I don't even want to get into that discussion, right? So I think that it's, I just want to encourage the women trainers out there, like, just get out there. And it's important for other women trainers to support those women that have the confidence and the courage to get out there and do that. There's something that we haven't talked about at all, which is that a lot of women end up teaching men, and then men go out and popularize what they've learned from the woman. Absolutely. It happens time and time and time again. And it's, I don't know that it's ever ill-intentioned, but it does happen very commonly. And so I just, I'm again just going to encourage the women trainers, like, get out there.
Mahogany, I've worked with so many female trainers, especially young female trainers. Mm-hmm. When I travel, whether I'm doing seminars or if I'm traveling because of my other job, I'll always get a hold of people in the area and say, hey, let's train some dogs. Let's get together. I've worked with so many phenomenal young female trainers
Yeah.
that when they bring their own dogs out and work them, I'm going, holy shit. Like, why aren't you showing this?
Yeah.
And they're scared to death to do so. I said, no, you don't understand. You have to show people what you can do. You're an extremely talented trainer, like extremely. And they, yeah, you know, and I'll get it out there, and I'll contact people. I'll contact people from back home saying, hey, why don't you put out a video of you with your dog? You know, yeah, I'll get around to it. You know, I'm just, you know, I'm kind of hesitant. I don't understand where that fear comes from, because I see a lot of guys putting out videos that I would not, you know, that are not good. But I know personally so many young female trainers that blow my mind. Like, okay, wait a second. You don't have to work with me. You don't need me. You've already kicked ass. Why am I here? Just train your dog. You've already done it, but you have to start showing it. And you're 100% right. There's a lot of young ladies out there that are scared to death of being judged. And the funny thing is, they're absolutely phenomenal at what they do. You know, I showed my daughter's video with Luca that she did in the snow a few years ago. I made sure I tagged that girl power. Okay. I wanted young girls to see. She made me very proud. You know, I was very impressed with the way she carried herself in a video she did a few years ago, you know, and gave a thumbs up at the end, girl power, because we have to encourage these young ladies to get out there and showcase their talents.
Yeah.
Because there's so many phenomenal trainers that no one knows about. No one knows about because they're scared of being judged.
Yeah.
You can't, and listen, we all get judged. Okay. We all do. I get ripped apart all the time. I have 500 videos on YouTube. There's not a single one that I think is good or that I don't see a ton of mistakes in. And the truth is, people that are trying to learn don't care about the mistakes. They embrace them. They just want to see something and try to learn.
Right.
You know, so people have to get themselves out there and do that, you know?
Yeah. So the one thing, because I already see you're gonna jump to another question.
Yeah, because I want to stop talking.
And I just want to say this is why it's really important for people, especially within the dog community, to support each other. Because back, you know, I've since left a bunch of dog training groups. You know, I was really into them at one point. But the one thing I noticed is I would answer a question or make a statement, and I would get tons of hatred about it, and, you know, thumbs down and this and that. And a man would come and say basically the exact same thing. Yep. And everybody would be praising him and boosting him. So when women do start to put stuff out there, it needs support. It needs to be supported by other women, because I think that, you know, stuff like that can happen. Those little biases, you know, against women as well. So it's our responsibility to support each other, and to boost each other. And I love what you said, Larry. I want to, you know, take a moment to just appreciate what you mentioned about your own videos, because I think women naturally feel like, you know, just look at, it's actually the reason I don't wear makeup. I very deliberately don't wear makeup, because I hate that women are expected to smile and look pretty and not go outside unless everything is all done up, right?
Right.
What we see, you know, as dog trainers is this same idea. If it's not perfect, I can't share it.
Yeah.
And
no one learns from perfect stuff.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah. You know? So I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah, because it's reality. You know, Mahogany, like these people that try to show edited stuff. Listen, several years ago when I started making videos, a big reason behind it was because I was getting very upset by seeing how many people were frying dogs with e-collars. That's when I started making videos, right? And when I started getting a little bit of following, I was like, whoa, people are watching my videos. And my 6-year-old daughter was filming me with an old iPhone. And I remember one day I said, you know what, guys? I said, I'm going to get some nice camera and video equipment and I'll start doing some edited stuff, people hit the roof. They were like, no, bullshit, don't do that. We watch your stuff because we want to see everything, you know? Don't freeze on me now, Mahogany. Come on. Okay, you're back.
Okay.
And so to this day, I still just film with an iPhone and that's it. And I show the people all the shitty stuff because that's reality. That's actually, no dog training is ever perfect, you know, and people have to see the mistakes, but you hit it right on the head. Women are more insecure about showing the mistakes and or being belittled, and you can't do it. I know it's hard. And no one likes to be criticized. Trust me, I had a hard time with it for a long time now too. Now, listen, if you have to put my name in a video and rip me apart because no one watches yours, have it. You could use it. You could use it all you want. I'll give you all the help you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
there's something you said that I want to touch on just very briefly, because I think there is some insecurity, but there's also this expectation. There's a weight, right? There's a weight on women that, you know, things have to be perfect. And I wanted to just, you know, somebody said, I'm going to read this out. I think that consequences of judgment are different. I made a decision to send my puppy to a friend's kennel for a week and literally had 2 bigger, older male club members corner me to tell me why that was a bad decision. And, you know, when I was early getting into ring sport, I didn't know decoys had this code, right? Like, I wasn't a decoy. I didn't know, right? So I took, you know, I had been working my dog on one decoy. I went to another decoy. I posted that on Facebook because somebody took a good photo. And like, and that decoy came at me. Like, he came at me publicly.
Yeah.
And so, and it's true. Like the you know, Jamie makes a really great point that the consequences are different, right? Like, you know, having, like, if somebody comes at you like that, it's, you know, a lot of women feel like they're in danger. And I even saw you know, when was this? I don't even remember what the discussion was, but there was some discussion about a woman trainer. And it was, and this discussion was by a bunch of very influential male trainers. And somewhere in the thread, and it was, you know, one of the male trainers was one that, you know, I looked up to. I was, you know, honored that I got into his friends list before he got capped off at, you know, 5,000. And he fat shamed her. And I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, if you cannot discuss someone's, you know, training philosophy or their training style or something without taking it to the physical, or, you know, to race or whatever it might be, right?
Sure.
That all comes from there. It's like, it's this desire to be hurtful. And it was pretty astounding. I actually had never, ever thought that I would see something like that from that particular trainer. I'd even had him out for seminars. And I was like, wow, this creep's kind of disgusting to me now.
Well, listen, when it comes to the club thing, Mahogany, I didn't know either. But at one point, I was training 7 people from the same club who were having problems with their dog, but I wasn't allowed to tell anyone. And each one of them kind of knew they were all coming to me, but couldn't talk about it. I was like, what do you mean? You can't talk about it. Like, we'll be kicked out of the club if they know we're coming to you to fix this problem, because we're going to fix it within the club. I couldn't, but I said, but you haven't fixed it with it. Why is it a big deal? I didn't know about that culture because I don't belong to a club and I don't train in dog sports or anything. Christina Nicoletta Nestor is my friend from Italy. She says, yes, the makeup is a real thing.
Yeah.
The makeup thing is real. I don't have that issue. Listen, I shaved my beard last week and my wife and kids almost disowned me. Like, you think they would be happy, but I must be so damn ugly that they all said, don't ever shave it again.
What? That's wild. I'm
Yeah.
surprised to hear that, I have to say.
I was shocked. I thought they would have been like, oh, look how handsome dad looks. They're disgusted with me. Don't ever shave it again, you know? Unbelievable. Jackie
Oh,
says that's one of my things with training videos. I'll watch my videos, see mistakes, and not want to post it, even though the dog made progress and did great in the video. Listen, Jackie, for me, I embrace and encourage mistakes from the dog and the owner. I need them. I need them or they can't grow. If they don't make mistakes, they can't grow. Mistakes are where they learn, you know, and that's why there was a video I did a few years back that was so bad, I almost didn't post it. I was like, this is the worst thing I've ever seen. It's like I never trained a dog in my life, you know, but I was like, then I'm being hypocritical because I tell people just show it, you know, and I did get ripped apart by it quite a bit. But I was honest. This was a bad day. I did not have it. My dog did not have it. It just wasn't there. But I'm so sick and tired of the bullshit of these before and afters and the big productions of these videos like a movie theater. That's fake shit, man. That's fake stuff. That's not how dog training goes. You know what I mean? And I just want people, especially young trainers, especially female trainers, anyone that's going to criticize you on that, block and delete is very powerful. They're not worth it. Just get rid of them and find someone that appreciates it, because that's what real dog training is. You know what I mean? Very few people in this industry can train without making mistakes. There are some, not many.
Yeah. And also, you know, like build a community. So I'm a community type person. I really love community. And when I got started, I felt like I was kind of lacking that. So I was doing some work as a dog walker, and I just started walking up to other dog professionals and introducing myself and just asking like, hey, you want to have some coffee and have a conversation? And I developed some friendships that way. Right now, like mostly I'll send my videos to club members or other trainers that I collaborate with. So if you're nervous about sending videos, like start that way.
Sure.
Start with people that you trust, that, you know, you guys have an honest relationship, and you don't have to start big, you know, with YouTube or Facebook, but just start small and start to build that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, we're at 2 hours. I don't want to keep you all night.
I know it's 10 o'clock for you.
Are
you at 9 or 10?
I'm at 9.
Okay.
I could talk all night, but I'm trying not to. And when I see my wife starting to comment good stuff, not bad stuff, and David and Kay Thompson, they're my clients. Your beard is fine, but can't believe you cut it right before deer season. This grows overnight. I'm a hairy son of a bitch. You got to see my back. Okay, growing hair is not a problem for me, except on my head. You know, here's the thing, Mahogany. When I decided to do this, I had my doubts. I was truly. I didn't know if I made the right decision, you know, because I don't want to do something that looks like I'm trying to do it for myself and being selfish. You know what I mean? Because you're always going to be accused of that. I don't want to do it to try to exploit what we're going through today.
Sure.
I did it because I just thought it was the right thing to do. I just did. That's simple, you know, and I thought I owed it to people that meant a lot to me. And right up until tonight, until you got on here, I was scared to death. I really was. I was in a bad mood. I told my wife was getting on me, and I'm like, she's like, why do you stress so much about this? You know, I'm like, I don't know. That's just who I am. But I want to tell you, I'm so grateful that you were the first person to come on there. You know, I really do. I'm so grateful for you. I think you did a phenomenal job in a situation that's not easy. I think you're not just a great representative of people of color and of females, but of dog trainers, period. And that's what it has to come down to. You're not a black dog trainer. You're not a black female dog trainer. You're a dog trainer.
Right.
That's it. Plain and simple. Yeah. And that's the whole point of doing these things. I'm going to get a little bit of hate mail tonight. You may too. Those aren't people we need to deal with because they just don't understand why we're doing this.
Right.
I hope this leads to better things for a lot of people. I really do. I hope they see that the intentions are good on both our ends.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I can't thank you enough. I think you're absolutely fantastic. I really do. You know, and you know, when you first called me back, as soon as you started talking, I was like, son of a bitch, she's not going for it. You know, I did. I thought you were going to tell me, go ahead. Yeah, I did. I did because I didn't know if it was the right thing to do. I felt like it was, you know, but you never know. You never know. This is a really, really difficult time.
Yeah.
And like I told you in private before we came on live, I don't need anything business-wise or personally anymore. And this is selfish because I do feel good trying to do something good for people. And you don't need me, okay? I need you more than you need me. And I'm just hoping that this opens some dialogue between people and people turn off the fucking news and stop falling for the bullshit, because the last thing that the media wants is black and white people getting along. So it's the last thing they want. But in the real world, it's a lot more of a better situation than we see on TV. You understand? And we're bonded by something that we both love to death, and that's the animal. That's the dog. Yeah. You know, and that's the biggest thing we have in common. But I'm very grateful for you. I can't thank you enough. You know, this was 2 hours. I could do 3 hours very easily, even though people told me shut the hell up and stop talking. I talked too much. My wife's giving me sticky notes. That's not a good thing. But I think I think you're a great representative of the industry, period.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity just to have this discussion. I loved it. Like, I love just talking to you, and and I love talking to everybody that's on. I really want to thank everybody for joining. I do want to say, because someone asked about my website, but seriously, if you want to talk training, if you want to talk anything, just send me a Facebook message.
Where could people find you? Where are you at?
Just send me a Facebook message.
Like, what's your website? Do you have a business name? Tell people about where they can get you.
Yeah, they can reach me at Infinite K9, Infinite letter K number 9.com. It's easy. And then just send me a Facebook message. I really want to connect with a lot of people. Sure. Anyone that wants to connect for any reason, please just shoot me a message, and we'll do some collaborating.
That's awesome. This is a great industry, and it could be even better. You know, we could do amazing things here, because once we all get together, for the most part, most people, we care about what we love, and that's the animal. You know what I mean? And the dog don't give a damn what color you are. they just don't give a damn, you know? So hopefully this is the start of many more of these. We got a lot of people lined up, and you're the first. You're the trailblazer here, Mahogany.
I appreciate that, Larry.
We'll keep them going, and we'll do them as long as people want to come on here. I don't care if people want to watch. As long as people want to come on here, we're going to give them an opportunity and a platform to speak until I no longer have a platform. I guess that's possible too, you know. But appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. I hope you have a great weekend. And if I could ever do anything in any way to help you, you know where to find me. I'm here for you.
Thank you so much, Larry.
Don't put up with no bullshit. There's no reason to.
I'm not going to.
All right, Mahogany. Peace.
Good night, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.
All right. I think we ended it. You there, Mahogany?
Yeah.
Thanks. That was awesome.
Yeah, that was really great. I thank you so much. Seriously.
Mahogany, I'm sorry he spoke so much. He's had now like 3 drinks, and then he can't start saying words anymore. He said like 3 things so wrong, and you kept cutting her off, and then asking questions, and then apologizing for talking so much, and then you start talking too much. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's okay. I had a good time. I had a great time actually, and like to be able to have a good time even while covering some of the stuff that we covered, like it's saying a lot. I seriously appreciate it.
The funny thing is, we have people telling us we're having trouble disconnecting. We're still live. I'm probably hitting wrong buttons or something. Oh yeah, we're still. It's having trouble connecting. Please check with your internet connection. Yeah. So yeah, we're still. It's not letting me disconnect. But hey, that's all right. But yeah. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I kept you so long, but I people really enjoy you, and hopefully we could do some good things here. If you think of anybody else you want to see on here, Mahogany, I'm blown away on how many people are lined up. Like I thought, like people are going to be like, "F you," we don't need to do. But it's amazing how many people want to come on and talk. So it's
nice.
People are calling this the after show, so we still are on. Or my wife would never be on camera live. That's it. That's my technological skills. Normally I can't log on. Now I can't log off. But I guess I'll just X out, and hopefully, yeah. I don't understand why it's not letting me. I've tried like many times, having trouble end the broadcast. Yeah, I'm fucking trying. I'm trying to end the broadcast. Come on, end it. It won't let me. It just wants to hear me talk because I say so many good words.
Oh my gosh.
If I could ever do anything for you, please call me. Okay? Let's keep in touch, and
let's do.
I'll talk to you real soon. Okay.
All right. Thanks, Larry.
Thanks, Mahogany. See ya. Bye. Bye.